Welcome to the Single Parents Network with Coach Enrgy. I am the single parents life and relationship coach. I work with single fathers, single mothers, and those who date single parents, or you know what, even those who may have lived with a single parent. This podcast is where I will share valuable content on all matters of the heart and various life issues that single dads and single moms face. So, for an example, we talk about relationships, marriages, divorces, co parenting situations, communicating effectively, figuring out how to balance work life and home life, getting that time management together, productivity together, and any other life changing event, life transitions, you name it, we talk about it and so much more. And I often have guest speakers to join me. And this week, I absolutely do have a speaker. I am so excited for you all to hear what she has to share. Kashmir, please introduce yourself to the listeners.
Yay, thank you, Energy. So, my name is Kazhmir. I am a 30-year-old single mom of my amazing son. He's 9 years old. His name is Maurice. And we currently live in Washington, D.C., born and raised. Right now, I'm working from home as he does virtual learning. So, we're spending a lot of time together, which I have really enjoyed. And I'm just learning as I go. This is an awesome opportunity. Like I said, I'm learning as I go. I grow as I go. So I'm here to just, talk with you and also learn some new things.
Awesome. I love it. And so let's go ahead and jump right into it. One of the reasons I wanted to have you specifically to come on, I heard you in another group on a different platform. You were discussing about healthy and helpful tips for single parents, or I think more specifically for you, you were talking to single moms. So let's kind of jump into that a little bit. Go ahead and tell
Okay.
me what are those healthy tips, those helpful tips that you can share with us today, and then we'll start expanding on it.
So first thing first, as a single parent, that means you broke up with your child's other parent. And so I think the healthy thing to do is to heal, learn yourself, figure out, where it went wrong. Do whatever it takes to co-parent with the other parent and you guys have a healthy co-parenting relationship. I think it's very healthy to not rush into dating, to not feel like, oh, I have to get over, sometimes we can look for a rebound, but as a parent, you have to consider your child. And your child may need you to really heal. If you jumping into the next relationship and you haven't healed, that can be toxic and that's not good for your child. Another healthy tip, once you do start dating, keep dating completely away from your child. My son, I've been broken up with his dad ever since he was 5 years old. He has not met not one man, and I've been dating. And I'm glad that I have done that because those guys are no longer in my life. Now he's heard of them. He's heard mommy talk to guys and have friends. And I'm transparent with my son. He's very mature. And so I let him know, hey, I'm dating, like I say, he'll hear me talking to someone on the phone or on FaceTime or something. But it's never to the point where they're meeting and, you know, I'm moving someone in, and it's like stepdaddy after stepdaddy after stepdaddy. I just feel like I want to set a good example. The Bible says, train up a child as he should go. So when he old, he will not part from it. So I don't want him to have a variety of women in and out of his house. So I feel like it's very healthy to keep dating away from your child. Set a good example. And another thing, don't rush into dating. Also heal, but especially if you're in a long-term relationship or like there, like my son, I was no longer with his dad and he had questions. So we were able to have those intimate moments together where that poor baby, he thought we were married. And he was like, did you and my dad divorce? And I was like, no, I had to explain to him, what happened. And, because they deal with the breakup too. Little do we
Mhm.
know. I don't care how young they are. They sense things. They don't see dad or mom in the house anymore. So don't rush into it. again, with healing, also spend that time with your child, see what they're feeling, see how they're thinking. I know for me, right before the end of, him and his dad and our relationship, it was toxic. There was times where we was, fussing at each other, yelling at each other. He was breaking stuff up in the house from anger. And my son remembered those moments. And so if I had rushed into a relationship where he was not comfortable to talk to me about those moments, we would have never been able to heal together from those toxic moments that he has experienced. So and the main healthy thing is definitely seeking God. Just
Love it.
seeking God first, He will lead and guide you. So you might be out of that situation with your other parent, with the other child's parent for a reason, man's rejection, God's protection. And so just take some time out to learn yourself, to heal. And when it is the right time, keep it away from them kids until you know that that is the right one.
Boom, mic drop already at the beginning. I mean, what else can we talk about? You,
Yeah,
you just set it off. So let's talk about a few of those in detail and we can go in
okay.
order if we want. Healing. Absolutely. You have to heal before moving on to another relationship because otherwise, that's how damage happens. That's how
Yes,
dragging that emotional baggage from one relationship to the next relationship happens
absolutely.
because we didn't take the time to heal. And so, for you, do you have any, whether you did any of these things in particular or not, but do you have any healing examples, for that you can share for people? How can someone
Yeah, so I know, like, and I'm not gonna sit up here like I'm a saint. There was times where I was not healed from, a previous relationship, whether it was with my son's dad or with someone else. And I would take it out on my son because I wasn't healed and I was irritated and agitated. So every little thing that he did, I would probably be fussing at him for no reason. Mommy was angry. She was not healed. And so that's my testimony. I had to realize, like, whoa, I need to, once it wasn't at that moment when I was all angry and I wasn't healed, it was after the healing. I was like, I am so much better. Like, the things that my son doing and him just talking, 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 it doesn't bother me. Or I don't feel like, oh, I need a break. Go with your grandma, go with your dad. I wasn't always like pushing him away. It was like I realized once I got on the other side that that wasn't okay. That wasn't healthy
Mhm.
parenting. And that was because I was still hurting. That was because I did not take time to heal. That was because, I did not take time to find myself and figure out what the problem was. And I did not really dig deep and seek God. And I've also had friends that I would hear them have conversations. They could be, still going through things and, just venting about it, clearly not healed. And the children hear that. And the children are like so in tune to the conversations and they see front and center that something is going on. I just feel like that energy transfers. And so that's one of the main things why healing after a breakup is very important because the kids sense it, and it also affects your parenting. Like none of us is perfect. Like I said, there was times where my child could literally just be talking to me about any and everything, but because I had so much toxic things on my mind, or I did not give myself time to heal, it was like, not this, it's not the right time, baby. Go to your room, or not right now, or
Mhm.
you probably blowing up somebody's phone or dropping the child off because you want to pull up at somebody's house. Just all type of bad things happen, and you don't make the right decisions. So, I've experienced it for myself, and I've seen others,
Mhm.
go downhill just from not healing.
Oh my goodness, you said so many things that were key. One of the main things is your healing, whether if you don't heal, your lack of healing can
Mhm.
negatively affect your parenting. And that is so true
Mhm.
because whenever we are still, hurting on the inside from what someone else may have done, our heart was broken, or, that betrayal may have happened, within the relationship,
Mhm.
it does, it can, it can definitely affect our parenting to the point like you were describing, where we
Absolutely.
can get, have a shorter fuse with our kids, or, they
Mhm.
can do the same thing on one day and do that exact same thing on a different day. But because we may be dealing with a relationship type of issue, then
Mhm.
our response to our kids would be different. And so, we may get irritated faster, we may get
Yep.
frustrated faster, or, we just simply are, more impatient because we
Mhm.
have all these other emotions and thoughts and things that are going on due to our relationship, or due to us not having healed from the prior relationship. Oh goodness, yes,
Yeah,
that
and
that
it's
is
never
key.
like intentional. Like I don't purposely
Right,
want to just be irritable or, not having patience when it comes to my child.
right.
I was never. It was just that spirit of not being healed and you can't control it.
Mhm, mhm.
But I think healing also is taking your power back. It's
Absolutely.
like, you know what? I'm not feeling like this. Whatever I need to go through, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to get through this. And I can't stress no louder or no, no more. Seeking God. Like, God, you know what happened to me. I wasn't listening again. And this is where I am. I need to heal from this because this is not okay. Like, I literally used to feel like, what is wrong with me? Like, this can't be life. So, healing is
Yes.
key.
Yes, yes. And you said, here I am again, and something that I say to a lot of people, and it's, something common that's said as well, is if
Mhm.
you don't learn the lesson, you will repeat it.
And I say, if you knew better, you do better.
Hello. I
So
love it.
that is definitely and I can go into my journey if that's okay.
Girl, take it away.
Okay. So this is also a part of healing. Um I'm currently abstinent from sex. I decided to not have sex. I am waiting for my husband. It is a spiritual journey. I honor my body because I honor God. And after just trying to do it my way for so many years and had so many fails, I just feel like, okay, Kashmir, your way's not working. We're going to have to do it Jesus' way. And not only that, not only am I in the process of receiving real authentic love, a connection like no other. God is opening so many more doors for me. And I feel like he will also use me as an example because so many of us single parents, as soon as you hear that, you're like, oh nah, like that ain't gonna work. I've already did that, should have caught me, a few years back. But it's never too late for us, and that's a part of healing. And you really get rid of those soul ties, and like I mentioned rebound earlier, it took me healing. I used to feel like, oh, I'm gonna watch when I would get somebody else, I'm gonna feel so much better. No, girl, you it's a whole nother soul ties out there. So I just feel like even, as far as this is my opinion, as far as, single parents, I wonder if we can I'm sorry, decrease single parenting by being abstinent, by waiting until you're married to have
Mhm.
sex.
Right.
You could probably you don't have those soul ties blinding you, making you think something is all sweet and it's so sour. Like you can really see it's not because when you purity is definitely a way of getting rid of the contamination. It is not clogging your vision and it's no distractions. And so I feel like when you go into something pure and just like you're just able to connect on a better level. Other benefits, you setting examples for your child. Like ever since I became, abstinent, I teach my son, ain't no birds and bees conversations. I'm not introducing him to that. Why do I got to tell him about condoms and strap up so you won't get pregnant? I remember my mother gave me condoms during my high school prom. She was telling me, "Yeah, I don't want you to have sex, but here goes some condoms." And so it's just like, no, keep the condoms out. You don't want me to have sex. Keep that as that. Continue to minister to me about, what not having sex, what benefits come out of that. And I'm not, trying to get into like sex is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Like if it wasn't for sex, my beautiful, adorable child would not be here. So my son's dad, he actually has three children and three different women. And so, there's time like I said, my son is mature. He's very he picks up on things. And there's times where he see his dad might get into it with one of his siblings' moms, or he's not seeing one of his siblings because the other mom got mad from the other mom. And I used to be caught up in that drama. Thank God I'm not anymore. But like one time he said to me, like, I don't want to go through that. And I was like, you're not going to go through that, baby. That's why you're going to wait until you're married to have sex,
Oh, wow.
because, you won't have to deal with that. He see his father go through all the stress and the drama from the different mamas. And, he sees that. And he
Hmm.
don't like that when, one of the siblings gets snatched up because he done made one of the mothers mad. And so I tell him, like, if you just wait for your wife. Wait for your wife, and you have your children with your wife, and you love your wife. I teach him that more so than giving him condoms and giving him the birds and bees conversation. And so I truly, truly believe if people did it this way, it would prevent a lot of things. So much. Like I just feel like I went through so much unnecessary heartache and
Hmm.
drama that I did not have to go through just by saying no to sex. And again, sex is not a bad thing. It's just when you're doing it at the wrong time, it can destroy you,
Mm.
and it can destroy families. So I think it's
Unfortunately.
very imperative to be teaching this. Like, people don't teach about it. It's even sometimes when I talk about it, I'm like, oh, here I go. Like somebody might turn this off because I'm telling them not to have sex. But no, like this should definitely be the lighting of all conversations with all families. Teach your children, don't be a baby mama, don't be a baby daddy, be a wife, be a husband. And I just see this world being so much better.
Ah, my gosh. Yes, yes, and yes again. It's like you are singing the same song that I sang, with my journey as well. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear other people discuss it and to discuss it openly.
That's how I
Yeah.
feel too when I hear
Yes.
people discuss it too. And isn't it peaceful? It's like a peace. Like
Yes.
when I first started this journey, I thought like, oh, I'm gonna be going crazy. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be itching, feeling like, I'm gonna have withdrawals. I was, worried, but it's God has gave me so much peace and understanding and wisdom. Like I said, I have nothing contaminating my mind and my
Yes.
thoughts. I can hear and see clearly. And it's go time for me. I honestly don't even have time. Like it's like the thought doesn't even come up. So, and it also helps with my parenting. I ask my son all the time, do mommy seem happier? He say he don't know in detail of my decision, but he says that I'm feeding my spirit.
Oh,
And I even have him doing it. Like I told you earlier, right now, he is on Blaze Kids. That is a Friday night Bible study that they have for children with our church. And he enjoys it. I do not have to like press him out to do it. He really enjoys it. And it's like the energy bouncing off. So I'm excited.
that is awesome, awesome. And so earlier you were talking, well, throughout your journey, you've mentioned, seeking God and keeping Him first. And
Mhm,
another beauty of waiting, for sex before marriage, or waiting for marriage before you have sex,
mhm,
is going through that process, being abstinent. It
mhm.
helps you choose quicker or make decisions quicker because just like you said, your eyes are clear, and not just your physical eyes, even your
Yes.
spiritual eyes, that spirit of
Mhm.
discernment is clearer. And so when you're meeting people, when you're going through that dating phase, that getting to know you phase, you're
Mhm.
able to determine like, no, this person is not the, for me, let me go ahead and move
Yeah.
on, as opposed to wasting more time, unnecessary time. And so
Yep.
that whole thing of being abstinent and seeking God and putting him at the front of your life, that absolutely helps with saving time. It's
Yes. And
it's
not just
unreal.
that, when you said you make decisions like your decisions are better, you're making wise decisions.
Yes.
And so like becoming abstinent, it also took away the spirit of lust. I'm not even walking in situations like, oh, you fine, you could be my man. Like I know that's the like it's the spirit of lust. I don't want
Mhm.
it. The Bible says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. So I believe that my husband is going to come up on me, and God is going to be like, "Yep, that's him, daughter." And
Mm.
again, I'm going to hear that clearly. My son is going to benefit from it. He wants a dog. And like I said, ever since I've been on this journey, there is like a cockiness and confidence that I have. Like God told me what I say is so. I am obedient to him. I am honoring him, not just like I done went on a whole nother level where I'm now fasting, and it's amazing. And so I'm more of, I just feel like I'm so intimate with God. So there's like this, like I said, it's like this confidence. And so my son wants a dog. And I was like, baby, you gotta wait till your stepdaddy come. He coming. Like I want that example for him. And
Mhm.
and I pray for his dad. His dad will forever be, his father, and he will be, that example that I want him to have. But I know that the decision I'm making now is gonna, help me make another wise decision, and my son is then going to benefit from it, and then he's going to see how a husband should love a wife, how a wife should nurture and submit and love her family and her husband, and he's going to grow up and he's going to see that, and
Mhm.
he too will be that same thing. Like I said, we practice in purity already. And then it will go down to his children and his children's children. And it's just amazing. It's amazing.
That's right. That's right. And another thing I do want to specifically point out for those who are listening, it's awesome that even though your son is 9 years old, it's awesome that you're having real life conversations with him that are age appropriate.
Yes.
Oh, I can't stress that
It's
enough.
it's needed, because if we don't, somebody else will.
Hello, there you go. They're going to learn it from someone,
Yeah.
so
So
it
you
better be
might as well
you.
have those conversations now, because I don't know if it's just me, but these kids are so advanced now compared to when I'm 30 years old. When I was 9 years old, I did not know half of the stuff that my son knows.
Right.
He knows like the stuff that's going on, and that's because of the world we're living in. He knows the stuff that's going on as far as like politics and the Black Lives Matter, and it's just so much like real life stuff that he knows. And I hate if I sound ignorant, but at 9 years old, I don't think I knew who the president was. I could probably
Mhm.
think back from the years I think it was Bill Clinton in
Mhm.
1999. Again, I didn't know that type of stuff.
Right.
So the fact that my son knows these type of things, like these children are way more advanced. Look how they're in technology, and they have iPhones and stuff. Like they're just way more advanced. So I think it's even more important to have these conversations. Don't scare them. Definitely age appropriate conversations, but you that wisdom that you have to give them wisdom too, because
Exactly.
the times that we're in, they need it. They need it. And I hear my son, you guys can check out my Instagram. He did a wonderful like lesson talking about how people need to just get rid of hate. And I did not tell him any of that. That came from his testimony, from what he see. He see people who have hate on their heart. And that was just, his point of view on how getting rid of hate would just make things better for this world. And so more is caught than taught. These kids listen and see. We could tell them, don't do this, don't do that. But if they see you doing it, they're going to do exactly what they see you do.
That's
So
right.
definitely, lead by example.
Absolutely. And yeah, kids are way more exposed to more things than what we were, when we were growing up. And
Mhm.
so, because of that, we have to be very proactive about balancing that out, balancing all of the stuff that they're taking in, through their eyes, through the things that they hear, through the things that they are seeing on a daily basis, whether it be in person or whether it be online. Just like you
Yeah,
mentioned, kids have these devices that they have access to the world, and, we have to be very proactive as parents to step in and to balance that out. We have to, teach them other things or teach them about the things that they are watching so they don't have a misunderstanding, or they don't, perceive it the wrong way, or, they don't
absolutely.
digest it, in an inappropriate way. So, it's definitely, as parents, it's wise for us to, step in and continue to direct them,
Yes.
on the stuff that they're taking in, the information that they're gathering.
Yep. Like I said, the Bible says, train them up. And so I know it's a lot of things that I see now. And that takes me back to healing. When you're when you're not healed, you don't have that wisdom, and you can't really teach the child what you should be teaching them. And you may think it's okay because they're little now, but they're gonna get old, and those things that you once taught them will not leave them. I could tell you now, as at 30 years old, a lot of my decisions and a lot of things that I do now as an adult and as a mother came from the things that my mother taught me when I was a little girl. So
Hmm.
you're right about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's go a little bit further and talk about one of the other tips that you mentioned.
Hmm.
Keep dating away from your kids. So
Yes.
that's unpopular opinion, right? And I actually, on my YouTube channel, I recorded an episode that talks about that. And whenever I talk about it, to groups on different, other podcasts, or just different platforms, rather, not podcasts, but on other platforms, it's, a very unpopular opinion because people don't understand, like, how can that even be possible? How is that even realistic? So, since you've done it, go ahead and explain, what does that process look like? I want people to hear it from someone else who's actually also walked in those steps of keeping your dating life away from your kids.
Absolutely. So I'm going to talk about before I was on the abstinent journey.
Okay.
Right now it's super easy.
Mhm.
Um, but before, my mother never did that with us. Her and my dad divorced, but we didn't see, man. We knew mommy had friends, but they wasn't all up in the house and laid up together and stuff like that. So again, more is caught than taught. Because I didn't see my mom do it, I didn't do it. And then I just, for one of the reasons, people are weird. So I don't want nobody with my child or around my child and your energy is off, or you like little boys, or I got to figure
Mhm.
that out first. I need to have that discernment first before I bring you around my child. And so I just always felt like, you could be a creep. Let me figure you out first. And I was never really serious. Like I was, so called in love at times, but I always felt like I want to get a babysitter and we go out. Or if
Mhm.
you come over here, I don't want my son to be here because I just felt like I said, because I did not see my mom do it, it was never normal. Even someone that I was, serious with, we did do Dave and Buster's together, and my son did come, and that was like I kind of felt funny even with that. Um, but that was he had came on. It was like my family was there, so it was more so like a family outing, and he was like the plus one. So it wasn't even that intimate. Someone else I was serious with for years, my son knows about him, knows his name and everything, knows that, mommy be talking to him, but it was never given where he came over when my son was up. Now, he was the only one I let come over when my son was home. However, it was when my son has a bedtime. So he's in his room, sleep. And this is after years of me knowing him, dating him, and I know like his energy. I know like, he's no creep. He's not gonna go in my child's room while I'm asleep. And he
Mm.
was also up out of there early in the morning. It was like, absolutely not. My son can't see you here. And so I just never wanted and the guy that I'm talking about, I cut things off because of my journey. But I just never want my son to go through breakups. Like after me and his dad went through that breakup, I was like, I don't want him to go through breakups after breakups after breakups. And then you can like sometimes like I would see other women settle or still be putting up with somebody they know is no good for them because the child then got affected and like them and stuff like that. And so that was another thing that I did not want to introduce. And so you just that's why I say you have to wait. Like you have to make sure you have a support system before you go out here dating because it's easy to do it. Get a babysitter. Like, I know everybody don't, have it where as though the dad gets the kids. Like that's the arrangement that, my son father and I have. He goes with his dad every other weekend. The guys that I was dating, they knew my weekends. When I'm gonna see you? Oh, my free weekend. Like that was that.
Yes.
Um, even if it wasn't the case, like mom, hey, can you pay your siblings or you pay your mom, hey, can you watch the baby while I go out? Like I just think it's more easier to keep dating away from your child than to have your child around that. Like I've witnessed friends have really really bad arguments, in front of their child with a man that's not their father, and you could tell the difference. Like my son father, he would at least leave and not cut up too bad because that was his child too, you know.
Mhm.
But somebody else that wasn't his father, they're like, "Oh, it's on and popping. You do
Mhm.
this, I'm gonna do that." They don't have that respect, yeah, they respect your child, but it's not like if this for men too. That woman that ain't your baby mom, she's not gonna have that same respect for your child like as if that child was her own. So that's another benefit from like keeping it away from your child. Just get babysitters. And that's why I say get a good co-parenting relationship with the other parent because y'all could do arrangements. I don't understand how, some baby mamas get bitter because the dad don't want them no more and keep the child away from them. I don't understand that because I'm like, how are you healing and then being able to go out here and date?
You're
You
not.
keep this baby away from his dad. You're not getting no free time. You
Mhm.
like so that's my take on it. And I just feel like it is very imperative. Like you want to set those good examples. You want to make sure your child is safe. Like I said, people is weird out here, women and men. And you don't want nobody doing anything to your child being spiteful because y'all only 30 days in and y'all having family time the whole time, you don't really know that person. So definitely keep dating away from the kids.
Yes, yes, and yes again. Oh my goodness. So I while you were talking, I was able to remember the name of the actual YouTube episode that I recorded. So for those who want to go check out my opinion, how I described it, how I broke it down, if you go to my YouTube channel, you can find it by searching for Coach Energy, and Energy is spelled Nrgy. Look for the one that's titled When is the Right Time to Introduce Your Kids to Your Relationship? And in there, I explain all of that, what you just described, all of those different examples, specifically talking about keeping your child safe because you don't know what predators are out here. You
Mhm.
don't know, someone else's, motives. You don't know, you haven't learned yet like what someone is dealing with, they're, on the inside, that inner person, you don't know that person's true character yet. And so it is imperative, in my opinion, to keep your kids away from your dating life, keep your kids away from those that you are dating for as long as you possibly can. And Kashmir, you mentioned a perfect example of how do I do that? Because people ask that question all the time, but how? One of
Right.
the easiest ways is do it on your weekend off. Your weekend off being whenever your child is with the other parent. That is one of the
Mhm.
easiest ways to do it. Do it whenever you are able to get a babysitter, whenever the grandparents are watching the kids. If the grandparents are taking the kids on a play date, set up your date during that time as well. Oh
Yep.
my gosh. Yes, we absolutely have to protect our kids. We have to keep them from going through what we go through whenever we're simply dating, because look at
Yes.
how our dating and relationships affect us as adults emotionally. Like, it
Right.
sends so many of us into like depressive states of mind. We go on this emotional roller coaster. We don't want to get out of bed. We can't handle our emotions. We get snappy with people, so many other effects, to where my thing is, why subject our kids to that same thing by bringing someone around your child during your getting to know them phase? Your child will,
Exactly.
grow an attachment to them. And then when, when the two people don't work out, now the child has to go through, just like you said, a breakup as well. Come on. So I
Not
speak
fair.
passionately about that because unfortunately, I took my daughter through that before I learned about the negative effects that it has.
Mhm.
And when I went through my journey, my personal development journey, I, was able to look back on it and say, okay, no, something's got to give. I can't keep doing this because I'm not the only one going through this breakup. And let me
Right.
tell you, something else you mentioned that I also experienced back when I was doing things that way is I would stay in a relationship that I knew I did not need to be in, only because, dang it, my daughter had met them.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So, I'm happy that, I learned a better way. I became wiser in my dating experiences, or wiser in my dating decisions. And it's because I took that time away from dating and I started seeking God, and I allowed God to direct my choices at that point. And so I think the last time I may have done that, my daughter was maybe in her early or late elementary school years, and
Mhm.
now she's a rising senior in high school. And so, I'm thankful that I've had some time to redo that and to show her and teach her and set the actual example of dating, and a better way of dating, a proper way of dating. So man, you hit on so many things.
Yeah, and again, I go back to purity because, like I said, it's easy now. Like now, it's a no-brainer. Like the guy I was dating, the one who would come over during, once my son was in bed, sleep. I don't even have to worry about that because nobody's coming over here. I'm not even gonna set myself up. I it's strictly, dating where we are going out. Um, I don't have to go through that. You know what I'm saying? Like though, it's no soul ties attached. So everybody right now is a friend, a homie. Like no, it's nobody that I'm intimate with. Where I'm even on phone calls and stuff. Like my son doesn't even hear that. Like I said, these kids are very intuitive, so they know things. And my son would ask me like, "Oh, where's such and such? You don't talk to such and such anymore." And so this decision I made benefited, even in that area. Like, oh, I really don't have to worry about keeping dating away from my son because I'm dating differently.
Yes.
I'm dating for a purpose now versus how I was dating back then.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about, you mentioned the co-parenting situation. How
Mhm.
how is your co-parenting situation, and what tips can you give people, whether it be just one thing or if you have a few things, to help people have a healthy co-parenting relationship?
Absolutely. So There has been levels to that whole co-parenting. Um, in the beginning, it was very toxic. It was bad. That's when I was just like pushing my kid on his dad, like, no, you're gonna get him, you're gonna get him. And I wasn't healed. I don't know, I was being spiteful, like how some parents keep the child away from being spiteful. I was like, no, you got me messed up. You're gonna get this child. And so it was very unhealthy. So not doing that anymore. I came to, peace. I was like, you know what, this not fun. I don't want to keep, forcing you to get him. I'm sorry for whatever I did. I forgive you for what you did or what you didn't do. Let's come up with a way where, he was tired of me, acting a fool. There was times that we would be on each other's block list and I couldn't even call you. Like my son would like really need something and I couldn't even call him because he knew I was calling him to, curse him out prior
Ah,
to it being an
right.
emergency. And so it was like, I always knew God was always in my ear. Like whether, I had distractions or not, I let him in just a little bit. And so this one I was letting him in just a little bit. And I had said, like, nah, okay, this not fun. I don't like this. I want to be able to call you when I need stuff. And so that's how we got to the point where we were doing weekends and that had, that's been going well. And so now, and even when we were doing weekends, still not in the healing process, I was getting into it with his other children's mom. I'm the first one he had a child by. And so, the other one, I was like getting into it with her. We were having our disagreements. So still toxic situations between us. And so eventually I had to get over that. Like I said, levels. I had to get over that. So what? He had a baby with her. You're not with him. He's not even with her. He has a whole nother girlfriend and now has a whole nother baby. That bothered me too. And then when that bothered me, I was completely over him, completely over the first baby mama. When he had the third one, I just felt like now you are embarrassing me. Like you cannot be out here with all these baby mothers. And that's just so embarrassing to me. So I dealt with feelings with that. Then I realized I did not fully forgive him. Not just for having other children by other women, but also for not growing with me. That's why we really, really split up because I was somewhere else mentally and he was still, back before we had a baby. And I had to finally like realize I have to forgive him. And so now the level that I'm on, I truly forgive him. I want the best for him. I pray for him. Like I'm not gonna say more than I pray for myself because that's a lie. But I was gonna only say that just to show him I pray for him just as much as I pray for myself. Like every
Yes.
time I open my mouth and I'm talking to God, I'm including him in it. And I've realized that I don't care what he does. I need him to win because my son needs him. I'm praying for him the way I'm praying for him because nothing can happen to that man because my son loves and adores his father and he needs him. And so I pray that he, become a better father so he can be a wonderful example to my son. Like I said, his stepdaddy is coming and I don't want his stepdaddy to come and outshine him. So I pray for his wisdom. I'm rooting for him. And sometimes when we talk, I hear like a guilt because he know he's not doing all that he should do.
Hmm.
But I encourage him and I let him know it's okay. Like I got it. Thank God that he provides for us and he's a provider for me. So if God got it, I got it. If I got it, our son got it. So you don't have to worry about nothing. I still hold him accountable. Now sometimes we have disagreements, and again, because I am where I am now spiritually, I know how to handle it. Even with his family, they might do something, with my son, because I just feel like not to toot my own horn, but when it comes to exposing my son and teaching him and the young man and the boy that he is today, I truly, truly can say that that's for me.
Hmm.
Um, So I just kind of feel like I have say so, and that's probably something I need to work on. I definitely pray about that. But when things, go left, like you're disciplining my child for something, because your other your girlfriend's other baby got upset with my child and you disciplining my child because of that, that's a problem for me. I feel like he don't deserve that. You can talk to him. I barely put my hands on him. So
Mhm.
you don't put your hands on him, especially for something like that. Like I've dealt with things with my son where I was, trying to get him to not, have bad habits. Like there was a time when he was like creating a habit of lying. I got him out of that on my own. And that just came from the word of God. There was times where he was being sneaky and I was just, catching bad habits, but we got through that from the word of God. So if I'm not putting my hands on him when it comes to like, serious things, I don't like that you put your hands on him for little stuff like that. And so I'm to the point where like do whatever you want to do when it comes to supporting him. You don't even have to get him every weekend anymore. Like I really grew up. People know who know me and if they hear this, like, what? Cash saying she don't care about her weekends no more? I don't. Like, my son can stay with me. He's good. Especially if it's, I'm more so because how I'm raising him up, I don't want him going nowhere else where you not, doing the same thing I'm doing.
Mm.
And so his dad is not where I am spiritually. And that's one of the prayers that God draws him closer to him. So that if I'm teaching purity, I don't need you to be over there like, what, you gonna be a virgin? Man, no. Like I don't need you doing that.
Mhm.
And so that's just where I am currently. And prayer has literally been getting me through. There's times where I want to call him and say something, call the mother and say something, but because my son and I have a very, open, transparent relationship, he tells me everything. But then he says to me, Mommy, like he know that flesh will come out. And he say, Mommy, but please just don't say nothing. And, we have those conversations where I be like, okay, I'm not going to say nothing, but I need you to say something. You talk to this person, I'm going to pray. And we pray together and we know to believe and receive is done. And we go from there. um, and yeah, I just tell him, too, pray for your daddy, pray for a renewed mind, pray that, he is where he wants to be so then he could be a better father. And so our co-parenting relationship has really gotten better, to the point I used to sometimes like I could have the money, but I would just be like, no, he gonna pay for this haircut because I pay for everything else. And for real, it wasn't. It's all about your heart and where it's coming from,
Mhm.
and that was coming from pettiness. That was coming from me being spiteful. And now I don't even. And then there were times where I would, and I have to wait days and days for that haircut money. And so it's like now I just take my son to the barber shop.
Right.
I just
Just
buy
get
my
it
son a
done.
shoe. Get it done. And so whatever you add is extra. And
Right.
guys, once I realized that, like, and I'm gonna just share this one story. When we moved to our apartment where we live now, it's a 2 bedroom. My son was so happy about getting his own room. We've been here for 2 years now. And so my son needed a bed. And I had told my son's father, like, hey, I need you to get him this bed, please. Like, I'm getting everything else. I'm getting all the furniture and stuff like that. Like, he lives with me. I pay rent. I'm paying the car note, car insurance. That's how I get him back and forth to school. Like, buy him a bed. And so we waited for that bed. And I was very spiteful and I was like hating him because my son was still sleeping on a toddler bed. And it was like that bed was so uncomfortable to him. And I would tell him, well, just lay in the bed with me or just lay out in the living room. But he would say no because he wanted to be in his own room. And so I was just hating his dad for that. But when I realized, like, Kashmir, don't do that. God has looked out for you any and every, all these other times. Let that hate go. I let that hate go. Literally, a girlfriend of mine um was like, hey, she has a toddler. And she was like, hey, I have this twin size bed that's like way too big. I need to find a taller bed. I was like, I got a taller bed that's way too small for my
Boom.
son. And he needs a twin size bed. So we did that exchange. It was super easy.
Yes.
Not only that, if you know the show The Real Daytime, you know
Um,
about that show? It
no.
comes on Fox 5. So it's a
Okay.
daytime television show, and I'm obsessed. And so
Okay.
I used to always, I still to this day watch that show every day. And so I was, make a long story short, I was on the show, and just like as a fan, and they were just supposed to give me, the call was, who needs advice? This when quarantine first started. And they was like, who needs advice about, how to jazz up, an area in your home? Now that everybody's home, I know we can help you guys with some, decor ideas. And so I signed up, they picked me. I ended up doing a segment on the show. They gave me $10,000
Oh my
to
gosh.
overstock, to decorate and furnish my home.
Look at
So
God.
that twin size bed now went downstairs. We have like a T level where you just, if you got bulk stuff, you could just give it away.
Hmm.
We got rid of that bed, and now my son has two beds. He has a whole futon bunk. So he got the bed at the bottom and the bed at top. So just imagine if I would have stayed on that hate with,
Mm.
you gotta get in that bed and you're the worst daddy ever and I hate you and I hate you. I would have missed out on that blessing.
Yeah, you would have been blocking your blessings.
Yeah. And not only that, God used me to be a blessing. Like I said, I had a brand new bed, brand new twin size bed, brand new headboard. We took that stuff downstairs and left it on the T level. Literally within 5 minutes, when I went back down there to get rid of more stuff, that bed was gone. And
Good.
God said to me, a child needed that bed. There was a child that was sleeping on something that was not comfortable, or the sleeping situation was all messed up, and because how fast that bed was gone, I was like,
Hmm.
somebody snatched that up because their child needed that bed.
Mm.
And so when I just learned that letting go of that hate, having empathy. I know my son's dad. I know that he tries. I know that he loves his kids. Not just my son, he loves his children. And I know that he deep down want to be in a better situation financially to provide more. This is not just a man saying, no, I'm not doing, I don't want to do. And so having that empathy and letting that hate go and just trusting God, that's just been getting us through. Like I said, my son went to from no bed to two beds. He has everything he wants. And I sometimes shock myself. And so as far as co-parenting, I just feel like, you got to have that empathy with one another. Let him know, like I said, when I talk to him, it's a guilt that I hear. Like, I know I was supposed to do this, and some trying to make excuses for something. And I tell him, it's okay. I took care of it. It's okay. Just get it next time. It's okay. And if all of them not doing that, just by me doing that, if that can give him some peace,
Hmm.
I'm okay with that. And I was not always here. Like, I'm hearing myself say this right now. I'm getting chills because I was not always here. And it's better to be on this side. I used to think, the spitefulness and the bitterness, and either you're gonna keep this child, you're gonna get him, you're gonna get him. I used to think that I had the upper hand then. But it was like God was definitely on my side then. Cause so many like things could have happened to me being spiteful or to my child while we're out there arguing over babies and stuff. What if CPS pulled up on me
Hmm.
and snatched my baby? So God is good. That is my story.
Absolutely, absolutely. And growth of from relationships, growth from being in a non-effective co-parenting situation,
Yeah.
it does increase your peace.
Hmm.
And I wanted to just kind of point that back out again. And you cannot get that kind of growth, that genuine growth, without God. And
Yes.
so with my own life, when I said, you know what, I know better. I
Mhm.
know better than, to make the decisions that I'm making. I know better than to do the things that I'm doing. Like my parents, raised me, with being a God-fearing person.
Yes.
And so at some point I said, you know what? I've tried relationships, I've tried dating, I've done it all. I've done it my way. I've done it society's way. I've done it
Mhm.
the way that in these magazines. I've done it the way that they say to do it in this music, on these TV shows. But the one way I have not tried was
Hmm.
God's way. And I said,
Yep.
let me just try it. Let me just try God's way. And when I did, and I fully committed, not saying that everything has been perfect, not saying that I have not made a wrong choice,
Mhm.
but man, talk about the peace, the growth,
Yep.
the love, the way that I can be understanding to someone else's situation that at
Yes.
back in the day, I would have been like, whatever, I don't care. But
Yes.
now it's like, you know what? It's all good. I
It's a
got it.
domino effect. It's because I think about, the journey that I'm on and how I used to just look at this as, okay, if I don't have sex no more, I'm gonna get a husband. Like, period. Like, that was the thing. But the more and more, that I've been on this journey and God has just showed me, like, girl, you're not just gonna get a husband. You're getting peace. And then I think about this, the relationship that I have with my son's dad now is I really feel like this has started once, my spiritual growth and also during my journey of, being pure. It's gonna just imagine my husband come in. I got this husband, and me and my son's dad is, we just got the worst relationship ever. That's not healthy for my marriage.
Mhm.
My husband now dealing with, I don't like how your son father talk to you,
Right?
or y'all always arguing. So this journey is like a domino effect. It's like God is like, hold up, your husband is a for sure thing. Like, I got you, but I'm just showing you, bits and pieces of your area in areas of your life that you just needed to clean up. And so I'm thinking, oh, he gets his son every other weekend. We good. Like, it ain't nothing we need to work on. But like I said, there's things that I'm still literally praying my way through when it comes to co-parenting.
Mhm.
I need to not, humble myself a little bit. Like, yes, Kashmir, you are doing all these great things for your child. You're able to do all these things by yourself, but humble yourself. Find a way when if your son's dad do something that you don't agree with it, you have to find a way to address it with love. Don't straight go to, oh, that's my kid. You can't be doing that because that's my son. I do da 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 da. Da. And so I'm like I said, I'm still growing and I do not have it all figured out. I surprise myself at times. Like, literally just hearing myself talk. I was like, wow, like, pat on the back because you came
Right.
a long way. And even in the midst of how I want to react sometimes, even thinking of it, sometimes you could think you still there, just because that first thought be like, oh no, he didn't. And you might want to send that text message, but the fact that I don't, it's definitely levels. Like, I'm not where I used to be. And so growth and healing
Absolutely.
is key.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. And so for anyone who's listening right now, if you want help with how to get to the place where Kashmir is described, how to get to the place of peace that I've described so far, reach out to me. This
Yes.
is this is just one of the small topics, one of the many topics rather, that I actually coach on. And so you yourself may be whoever's listening to this, you may be wondering like, man, like I can feel their passion as they're talking about it. Man, Kashmir, the way she described her situation, I can feel how sincere she's being. I want that. I want to be able to get to that place. I just don't know how. Well, if you want help, reach out, take that first step, contact
Mhm.
me. My information is in the description below this episode. Reach out to me, or you can go to my website, coachenrgy.com, and set your consultation. That's where it starts. You have to take the first step and get some direction, get some assistance with this thing that we call life. I
Yes.
also want to just take a moment to commend both Kashmir and your son's father, because the fact that you both are in your son's life, by choice, and your son has love for both of you, even if neither one of you are doing everything the right way, I still commend the both of you for sticking together for your son's sake. So I
Thank
definitely
you.
wanted to take a moment to say that.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. And also this church that you mentioned, I want to go back to that. Blaze Kids on Friday night. It's a Friday night right now, and you said your son is having Bible study. Whatever this church is, if you want to say their name, go ahead.
Yes,
If not, no worries, but
absolutely.
shout them out if you can.
Yes, I love my leaders, Dr. Michael and Dee Dee Freeman of Spirit of Faith Christian Center in Temple Hills, Maryland. So everything is virtual right now. And Pastor Kevin is our youth pastor, and he's awesome with the kids. But we during quarantine, he had did a youth conference, and it was called I Am Verified. And he had it so like lit for the kids, like the music, the everything was just like for the kids. And my son literally watched that conference over and over. And so when I saw that he enjoyed that, I reached out and I was like, y'all have anything for the children? And they were just like, yeah, we have something called Blaze Kids every Friday night from 7 to 8. It's via Zoom. And the kids just get on there and they do their own thing. Like last week, my son was like, I need a hammer. Oh, not last weekend, but the weekend before. He was like, I need a hammer, I need a fruit, and I need a Bible. And I just like helped him with that stuff. And he do his own thing, but he enjoys it. It's feeding his spirit. And then I'm tuned in for either Bible study on Wednesday or either Sunday services. I actually do both, and it feeds my spirit. That has helped me with a lot of growth. During before quarantine and stuff, I remember going up to that altar many of Sundays crying, every altar call, going up there crying and like, I messed up again, or I'm going through hurt again. So that my church has helped me through my healing process. And my pastor daughter also encouraged me um, with my decision to become pure and to become abstinent. So actually both of his daughters, but one of his daughters have a book and I read her book, and ever since then, I was like, I can do this. I've always tried to do it, but have black backsliding moments. But after reading her book, it's called No Ring, No Ting by Breland Bowman.
Okay.
That has changed my life. So shout out to Spirit of Faith Christian Center.
Yes, indeed. Oh my gosh, that is awesome. Whew, I don't know about
Yes.
you, but I got a lot out of this episode so far. We are towards the end. One of the questions that I want to ask before we close it out, what's one last thing or one last takeaway you would like to share based on the topic that we've talked about so far?
That my main thing, seek God first for all things. He gives you wisdom on how to train and train up your children. He gives you wisdom on how to pick them, when you want to start dating. He's a healer when you're going through heartache and pain. He listens, he provides, he is able. I am how I am today because of God. You cannot do this without God. The Bible says all things are possible with God. And so I always had a habit, like somebody would tell me something and they will always say, you heard exactly what I didn't say. So using that habit with that scripture, all things are possible with God. So what he's not saying is you can't do it without him.
Hmm.
And so I've tried to do it without him, whether it's dating, parenting, healing, just trying to figure things out. I've tried to do it without him, and I found myself back in the same places. So feed your spirit. Um, Definitely have a relationship with God, and just everything will reveal itself. You'll just be going to him for one thing. It's like going to the doctor, like, ouch, I hurt my knee. But then they fix your heart, they fix your skin, they fix your body, they fix your, like, go to the Jesus doctor. That's my last word.
Yes, yes, yes. And that is why he is I am.
Yes. Yahweh. And if you guys follow me on Insta, like I have God has put a vision. He placed a vision in me. You know, when I started my journey, he was like, you know, you're gonna be celibate. I like to say abstinent, actually. You're gonna be abstinent and you know, I'm gonna change your life. Then he said, not only that, you're gonna go back for men and women and you're gonna minister to them through your lifestyle. And so I was thinking, like, okay, once I get everything, like, okay, once I get my husband, once I get everything that everybody see and want. But he was like, nope, starting right now, doing your journey. So I have been talking about it a lot, just trying to encourage people. So if you follow me on social media, you know, I'm just sending videos, you know, ever so often, just trying to encourage people and bring positive vibes, you know, out in the atmosphere. And just stay tuned because I truly believe that I'm gonna have a ministry with a huge platform, and I'm gonna have a lot of people like I want that. I want what she have, and all I have is Jesus. So stay tuned.
That's right. That's right. And Kashmir, I know we didn't talk about this earlier, but I do expect a wedding invitation. you know?
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, man, this has been great. I really do appreciate your time. And I like to have one final question at the end before I go into my closing. And so,
Okay.
my question for you, and you can have fun with it. You know, you can go left, you can go right. It's just a random out of the box question that has nothing to do with the topic today. So,
Oh,
my
okay.
question for you is, what's one fun fact about you or about anything that you may happen to know? Like if you just happen to know something random.
Well, I shared my the real experience. So let's think. Another fun fact. I'm a pescatarian, so I'm actually getting no meat.
What? Okay.
I don't get any meat. I've been doing this for 3 years,
Oh,
and it's just
wow.
a healthier lifestyle. So that's a fun fact. If y'all wanna once outside open and y'all wanna go out to eat or something, let's look for some places that has maybe fish and veggies. So yeah. I like to do that joke because I told was talking to a friend and he knows my abstinence journey that I'm on. And
Mhm.
then he was like, yeah, I'm just, you know, doing no meat for the month of January. And I'm like, oh, once you do that, keep going. Cause it's been 3 years for me now. And he was the one that did the joke, like, you're not getting no meat. And I was like, nope. And I'm just fine. You know, people be thinking you're gonna be like sister, you know, like sister act, you know, like the nuns. No, it's you can still turn up, it's still lit. So
That is hilarious. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's something that we would not have found out if I didn't ask that question. So thank you so much for sharing that random fun fact about you. Awesome, awesome. So as we start to close, I know that you mentioned you want people to follow you on social media. So this is
Mhm.
the moment. I want to give you the floor and give you some time to talk about anything else that you may have going on, whether you have a business, a website, any events, if you have a podcast, you're writing a book, anything like that. If you don't, that's completely fine as well. Otherwise, just share us your social media. How can people follow you? How can people stay tuned and stay up to date with the information that you share on a daily basis? Let us know where we can follow you.
Absolutely. So, like I mentioned, everything is in the process. I'm still like, God, you want me to do this? Okay. So definitely stay tuned. Remember my name, Kashmir Hall. Um, I, you can follow me on social media on Instagram. It's Kashmir, Kaz as in zebra, H as in Henry, M as in Mary, IR with 3 underscores behind it. That's Instagram. My Facebook is Kashmir Hall, and I'm also on Clubhouse, Kashmir Hall. So I've kind of been led to just start with those platforms to just discuss my journey, to tell my story. I really want to reach out to people like me. I feel like a lot of us, we when we hear becoming pure, the purity journey or purity campaign, you think it's only for somebody who's a virgin. And you think once you have children and, you done been out here and done that, it's hard for you. And it's not. It's really not. You just have to do it with God. And so I just really want to reach out to not just women, men too, because men deserve men are worth it just like women are worth it.
Hmm.
So we are kings and queens, and just follow me. I just feel like I want my story to be heard so other people could be like, I can do it too. This woman, she had a child, and I know her. I know she used to mess with such and such, a past, if you want to call it. But she turned her life around. And I don't want people to just see me. I'm not just trying to show me off. I'm trying to show Jesus off. I'm trying to show like he is real, y'all. Like it's true. It's so much better over here. So yeah, just follow me. That's the only thing I could plug right now, Jesus Christ, and my social media platforms, because I'm always just trying to encourage and inspire people. Just recently I started something called Throw It Out Thursdays. And so every Thursday I'm just sharing like a 1 minute content on something you could throw out that's negative, that's just stopping your growth, that is probably not helping you with healing. And you can find those in my highlights on my Instagram page. And then, like, just throughout the day, I just like to post like encouraging things, spiritual things, and that's pretty much it. This seemed like therapy for me. Like, this felt really good to actually talk this out. Like, I feel good. It's like a relief, like a whew.
Right? That is that is so good to hear. That's awesome. And yeah, if you ever with anything that you have going on, you need someone else to, be in your corner or to add to, your anything that you have when it comes to this abstinence journey, let me know. I am also on that
Absolutely.
journey. So man, we are speaking the same language. And yes, it's not just
Awesome.
for women, it is for men as well.
Yes.
So let's continue to add to this number or increase the numbers of people who, just kind of get back to the basics
Yes.
ultimately.
Yes. Yes.
Get back
Yes.
to the basics. Man, oh, thank you once again, everyone. You've just heard her share her social media platforms. Make sure you go support, go check out her posts that she does on a daily basis. Check out her Throw It Out Thursdays that she puts in her highlights so you do not miss anything. But that is it for this episode. If you would like to be a guest, please contact me. Find me on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform at Coach Enrgy. Or if you're on podcasts or searching for the podcast, this is called The Single Parents Network. And you can also find me on my website if you want to reach out to me there, if you want to be a guest or if you're looking for coaching. Again, go to coachenrgy.com, connect with me there. Enrgy is spelled Nrgy. And yes, it is my real name. Do not forget to subscribe, share, follow, hit that thumbs up button. Let us know how much you like this particular episode. You know how we do it. Get the conversation started below, put your comments below. And as always, remember, keep smiling. Bye bye.